Hey everyone, welcome back to Star Labs Confidential. For today, we're going to be celebrating 85 years of Superman. And as an extra bonus, I have Michael Byrnes here with me, as we're going to talk about all things Superman. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
So you're pretty much like one of the most famous cosplayers when it comes to Superman for over like a decade now or so?
Yeah, about a decade. It started actually 12 years ago with my kids. We went to Dallas Comic-Con, and it was just out of a whim. I asked them, I said, y'all want to go to this thing called Comic-Con and dress up? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. So I got some costumes together when we went, and we were all dressed as Kryptonians, if you will. And we walked around, and it was we were pretty popular. And I was like, this is neat. So it kind of just blew up from there. We just kind of kept going with it. At least I did. The kids sort of dropped off from it. They don't do it anymore. However, I still do it. It's a passion now. Something I like to do. I've always liked Superman since I was a kid, so it just sort of hung on to it.
Very nice, yeah, because you're one of the few I think that does like all sorts of different costumes. Like you don't stick with the usual. You go with like either it's like Ultraman, Bizarro, any of the like alternate versions.
Yeah, I try to keep it, I say fresh, but if there's a new iteration of Superman that comes out, I try to see where it can go. I just like new things as far as Superman. I always stick to the classic Christopher Reeve look. I love Christopher Reeve. But yeah, I think, let's see, Bizarro Ultraman. I did the Superman Beyond. Kind of a Dean Cain amalgam, an animated one. I'm thinking about doing the Savage Superman that they recently came out with, where he's just in like a loincloth and a big Krypton, like a Kingdom Come S with the shield. I'm thinking about it. I gotta get a better shape.
Yeah, that could work. I think it was like World War.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I think Kingdom Come is one of my favorite ones. Alex Ross is one of my favorite artists, so I try to iterate that. And I met him in New York a few years ago, dressed as the Kingdom Come Superman, and he loved it. He said to me, he goes, "You're the best Kingdom Come Superman I've ever had." And I was like, oh, that's amazing. So that's for he as Chip Kid was there, you know, and then we said that I was the best Kingdom Come he'd ever seen. I was like, wow, I'm honored. That made my year. You know, I was just a regular old guy dressed up like Superman, and he said I was the best. So that made me feel pretty good. So yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree, because like how with all the various pictures, yeah, just like you really looked like Alex Ross's work brought to life.
Yeah, it's the square jaw. Of course, with a beard, it's kind of hard to see, but yeah.
That is true, but yeah. So besides Kingdom Come, like what else is your favorite look for Superman?
Like I said, the Christopher Reeve look is one of my favorites. It's the classic, you know, with the red trunks and all that, with the yellow S on the back of the cape. That's one of my favorite ones. It's a pretty much a go-to. When I wear the Superman outfit, it has I want to say a psychological effect on the public. When I go out, people smile. They'll look at you and they, oh my God, it's Superman. And they get this legit, real smile on their face. Whereas if I wear other costumes like Bane, they want to challenge you. You think enough. Whereas Superman brings the smile out. So I like to wear that one. It makes everyone happy. And everybody knows who Superman is. If you can go anywhere in the world dressed as Superman and they know who you are. No one's going to confuse you for someone else. It's Superman is the way to go as far as that goes.
Yeah, I mean, not to describe like other cosplayers, but I say you're definitely one of the few that like it's not just like someone dressed up in a costume. It really looks like Superman. Like that's what's great with cosplayers like you, like where you take the time and effort to really develop these costumes. It's just amazing.
Thanks. Yes. I don't really sew, so I have to have people sew for me. But I'll tell them what I want. But as far as accessories, like I can make the belts, I can make a cape. But as far as like a full bodysuit, I have to have people sew that for me. So they're very understanding. And I also have a young lady in Dallas. I call her Kimmy Cosplay. Her name is Kim Boss, and she's made a couple suits for me. and she does wonderful work.
Yeah, still like with your New 52 look, for a moment I thought that was like your take on Tyler Hoechlin's suit from his new show, Superman and Lois.
No, I haven't done his yet. I've seen it. Matter of fact, I met him last 2 years ago at Dragon Con. He was real sweet, real nice guy. But no, I haven't done his yet. I've seen other guys, cosplayers, who do it. They do it real well. I think his cape inserts like right here, whereas mine does the typical Christopher Reeve where it goes in and around the back and it snaps in the back. So
yeah, I'll be honest, I like his current suit more than the first one he had before. Like, I wasn't too crazy about it when he had it on Supergirl.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I did like his Fleischer suit though. When they first came out he had a Fleischer suit. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's nice. In my opinion, they should have kept that, but that's just me because I had one of those and I like the Fleischer look.
Yeah, I'm glad they brought that in for like more than just one time.
Yes, yeah, I enjoyed that.
And even with recreating the shot from like the first Action Comics of Superman.
Yeah, that was neat. That was fun. I always like it when they have those little Easter eggs in there. Those are fun.
So I guess when it comes with all the costumes, like, do you have like any kind of padding, or is it just like all you?
All me. I go to the gym. Of course, like I said, I train more in the spring, summer, and fall. When winter hits and when Christmas rolls around, I sort of take a seat back and I get a little fluffy. No, I don't have any padding. It's all me. I don't use muscle pads. I mean, if you do, that's fine. That's all good. I've just been blessed with this from my parents. My dad was a big old guy, and I don't use pads. If you do, great. Like I said, I don't. Not when I wear Superman. Like I said, if I were to do something like a huge, I don't know, an Abomination suit, I would probably wear pads. But yeah, when I'm doing Superman, it's all natural as far as my body.
So I guess for you, like, what was your first exposure to Superman? Like, what's the first thing you remember when you got to see Superman, I guess, on screen or anything like that?
Well, let's see. I'm from the '70s, so growing up, I want to say we had the Super Friends, and of course the Superman cartoon that came on, and the Superman movie with Christopher Reeve came out, and that was a big deal for me, seeing Christopher Reeve on screen. And I remember we went to, like, me and my dad went to a gas station. And when you were a kid in the '70s, you didn't ask your family for nothing. You just don't ask for nothing when you go inside the store. Just hush. But I remember going in there and I picked up a comic book and I looked at my dad and I was like, I really want this. Can I have this? And he looked at me and he goes, you can have that. I was like, oh. And it was a Superman comic. And it kind of made me draw towards that. And I still have it somewhere. But I read the hell out of that. And then I went back. And I said, Dad, this is the second part to that book. You can have that. And I was like, all right. But watching that, or reading that, and of course watching Super Friends and watching the Superman cartoon that they put on TV, that was pretty much my first exposure to it. And then, like I said, Christopher Reeve movie was a big, big deal for me. I mean, honestly, that's a core memory for me. I can remember what I was doing, how I was sitting, what I was drinking, what I was eating. The whole show. I mean, it was a strawberry Fanta and popcorn, and I sat there looking up like, this is amazing. This is amazing. So, and when they say you'll believe a man can fly, I believed, and I was hooked ever since then. So I love that show.
Yeah, I mean, I never grew up with. I mean, I remember seeing Chris Reeve back then as a kid, but I say for me, like, the most I remember was definitely from the '90s animated series with Tim Daly doing the voice and how they did Lois and everything. Yeah, that show just stuck with me.
I love that show. And when I got to meet George Newbern, he was the voice for Superman in Justice League. And I got to meet him at New York Comic Con, and he was impressed with the way I looked. And I got to speak with him, but he was amazing. But as far as the animated show goes, I love that show. It came on, it was kind of right after the Batman show come on, so I liked their animated style. But I really loved that show. That was great. They did a good job with that.
That they did, especially when they had a crossover. I would rewatch that lots of times.
you know, where he told Batman, I know you're what was it? I know you're wild or something, but I don't know you're crazy or something to that effect. But I was like, yeah, Batman's crazy.
That he is, but resourceful.
I don't remember the exact quote. Yeah, when he had the kryptonite. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a dirty trick. Although I'd say finding out his secret identity, that's even more a dirty trick. Well, I guess on both of them, really.
Right. He's like, oh, you cheated. You looked it through. You used your X-ray vision and looked through my mask.
They always have him do that. So I guess you could say like Superman has been a big influence in your life growing up.
Yes. Honestly, I would take his values to heart. I mean, like I said, my dad was a cop growing up, and then he was also a World War II vet. So we were very patriotic in my family. And growing up, I always looked to Superman to think that he was a patriotic symbol. I just liked the way his values were. You know, down home, truth and justice. I always respected that. I won't say that he was an influence on me going in the Air Force, but I won't say it didn't. So, you know, and matter of fact, when I was in the military, mind you, I used to power lift and do bodybuilding back in the day, but we were in a place called Brook Mulebark, something like in Germany. I can't remember the name, but they were having a wine fest, and this guy parked wrong, and I was like, I'll move that car. And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, I'll move it. And there's this little car. I'm not even joking. It's called a Bon Jovi car. And I got out, and I was wearing a Superman jersey, and I picked it up and moved the car. And they was like, oh, you are Superman. I was like, sure. And then from then on, my call sign in the military was Superman.
You actually did that. You moved. I mean, how big is a Bon Jovi car again? Like,
it's a little car, but it was enough to where I could pick it up and move it over. So I was like, yeah. It wasn't like it was a huge Chrysler, but it was enough to where I could get out and move it. So, but yeah.
Oh my God, that's incredible. Like, I mean, still, even for a car, that car's got way like
I don't know,
a lot of weight, but
it was just big enough. Like I said, it was big enough to where I can move it, and I was like, I'll move this. No one else could do it, but.
Yeah, the nickname, the costume, everything just fits. Yeah, you are definitely Superman.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So, what is it about Superman that you like so much? I mean, I know you mentioned with the whole like with his character, Patriots and that, but like, I guess what is it that really got you to really admire so much about him and to where you are now?
You know, like I said before, he's the original. You know, no one can, deny that he was, in my opinion, the original superhero. Everyone comes from the thought of a superhero being Superman. You look at people, I mean, even with Batman, they wanted a darker figure, but, they wanted someone to be super, so to speak. And throughout the years, people just sort of emulated what Superman was. Don't get me wrong, there's different people who have different powers. For example, Thor's a Norse god, and he has this hammer, which I love Thor too, by the way. And then there's just the different characters that they try to be their own character, but let's be honest, they wouldn't be there unless Superman had started it out. He's the original. He's the OG. He's the true justice American way. He is the man. He always has, I want to say, a respectable way about him. Everyone sort of respects where Superman comes from. He's honorable. He comes off like a typical, I want to say, an American figure of honesty, so to speak. And don't get me wrong, they've had storylines where he's gone rogue. I've read those. But when it boils down to the meat and potatoes of it all, Superman was the nice guy. He was to be trusted. Whereas Batman will tell you that's one of his weaknesses, where he cares too much. I was like, well, who cares? Let's care a little. Even Zod said it. Oh, well, that's one of his weaknesses. He cares for these people. I was like, yeah, we care.
That's what I was gonna say. What are your thoughts on when you see like all these stories about Superman going rogue and stuff?
Well, here's the thing. You got to keep it fresh. You got to keep things new. I get what they're doing. Sometimes it's fun just to see him go off the deep end, I should say. But when you look at it, you're like, well, would you really trust a person had they done that to you before? You know, if someone knocked your building down and you came back, would in reality, would you really trust them? But in the comic book world, everyone trusts Superman because he was either brainwashed, he got exposed to ray kryptonite, or this, that, and the other. But it's fun to watch him go off a little bit. Like, for example, in Smallville, when Clark got a hold of the red kryptonite and he was the bad boy, it was just kind of fun to watch him unleash a little bit. Because, you know, most humans would probably unleash a little bit, whereas Superman really has to draw back, you know, because Jonathan Kent, his adopted father, was always trying to keep him humble, which I can respect that. But it's like I said, the storylines where he goes off the deep end, they're fun. They're fun because you're sitting there going, yeah, it's about time you got rid of this dark side character or whom else was acting up that day. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just something like where like you get like something like Man of Steel where they wanted to go with darker route of Superman actually like killing, or the Injustice like video games and stuff where he goes full on dictator.
Yeah, I didn't like that too much. I understood. I remember I was playing the video game and I was like, why is he the bad guy? And then they did that movie recently, or cartoon. And then the Superman that I like shows up. I was like, oh, here he is from whatever Earth he came from. I was like, there's my guy. And then, of course, it was always Batman's plan to bring Lois in to save the day. I'm like, is Lois really the trick that keeps him from killing folks? But I guess she is because he loves her so much. But yeah, the Injustice game, I enjoyed it. You know, you see him go off the deep end and act crazy. But I always like it where he's true to his nature. I like Henry Cavill. He did a good job. Henry did a good job. They were, and then I get it, they were trying to make things more edgy. Like when they brought him back in the movie, it was a little different than in the comic book. Because in '92, when Doomsday killed him, and you read The Reign of Superman were the four guys, you were thinking which one was which. And I remember reading the series thinking, I don't think any of these guys are him. This can't be right. This just didn't feel right. And of course he comes back in the black suit. I was like, there's my guy. There's my guy. So, and I think, like I said, with the movies, they were trying to do that, but they made him kind of crazy where he was fighting the Justice League. But I did like the line where he asked Batman, do you bleed? I was like, there you go. Because remember in the other movie, he asked, do you bleed? Batman asked Superman that. And I was like,
yeah, my God. Yeah, that's in the Whedon cut. I mean, the S.T.A.R cut doesn't say that.
Yeah, I saw that. But I liked it. That was a good line for me. I was like, yeah, get back at him. And then, of course, when Batman landed on the ground, he goes, I guess I do bleed. Something like that. Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that pissed off a lot of Bat fans.
Oh, yeah, the Bat fans hated that.
Yeah, I know, just like, because I mean, in the Death of Superman, Reign of Superman arc, like, they didn't really, like, do something like that to speed up his resurrection. Like, that happened on his own.
Yeah, I think it was Helix that came and got him and took him. In fact, my memory serves, Helix came and got him and took him to the regeneration spot, and then the Eradicator, of course, you know, he shot the energy through him and absorbed the Eradicator's energy. So, of course, the Eradicator's the nanny. But yeah, if I'm getting my story right, yeah, I like that story. That was good. It was '92 when he died, and I can actually remember we were driving from the comic book store in Mississippi down Highway 90, and I was just reading it, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I was like looking at my friend, I was like, oh my God, they just killed Superman. She's like, are you upset? I was like, I'm pretty damn upset about this. It was kind of harsh for me, you know. And then of course they came out with the Reign of Superman. I was like, oh good, they're bringing him back.
That's what's funny, because I guess when they were doing the Reign of the Superman, I guess they figured out like maybe bring in someone else to be Superman, but you know, they basically split him up into 4 different people. Like Superboy then was pretty much like the ego without any humility. Steel represents like the humanity side of Superman, and the Eradicator, the Kryptonian side, then the cyborg Superman, the power.
Right. I enjoyed the Eradicator. At first, I thought he was going to be Superman, that something had messed with his mind. But then as I was reading, I was like, something's off. But yeah, I like that storyline. They did a really good job with that, and I loved the Steel character, like you said, the humanity of it all. I liked him.
Same. I'm glad they brought him in for Superman Lois, but do a little bit of a plot twist.
Yeah, that was different. That was different. I mean, I like anything that comes out with Superman on TV shows or the movies. I'll watch it. It's fun. I have to take it some of it with a grain of salt because it's not what you're used to as far as the typical or the original. But like I said, you got to keep it fresh. You just can't keep delving out the same stuff or people won't watch.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and plus, given with how other media stuff is doing, you can say it's multiverse theory because like Marvel's now exploring everything as a multiverse with the Spider-Man actors, and DC's definitely done that through other products. So
I love the Marvel movies. I mean, I could probably quote you some stuff from that. I'll sit and watch those over and over. They did a good job. Marvel, I'll be honest with you, Marvel did a really good job promoting those characters, putting them out there. I kind of wish Warner Brothers had done the same formula as far as sticking to a whole story arc and keeping them going, but they dropped that recently where James Gunn took over, and he's going to do something new. So I mean, it is what it is. I'm not in the Hollywood business as far as directing or producing, but I get it. You got to make money, but I kind of wish they stayed on that line and brought him in like they did with Marvel.
Yeah, but I agree with you. Warner Brothers should have done something. It's just I feel like partly why they were just rushing everything is because like for people like you and me, we're used to some of these characters. Like for Superman and Batman, they've been around in like movies and TV shows since like both you and I were kids. In fact, in some ways, even before either of us were even born.
Yeah, way before.
Yeah.
Yeah, come to find out, my dad was a big fan of Superman when he was younger. That's probably the reason he let me get that comic book when I was at the store. So I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Which I didn't until later in my life. I didn't find out that my dad was a big Superman fan until later in life. So, because he passed when I was 10, and I really didn't, get time to speak to him that much. And then I would speak to like my aunts and things like that, and they're like, "Oh, your dad was really into Superman." I was like, "Really? I didn't know that." He's like, "Yeah, he used to have a stack of comic books by his bed." And I go, "Where are those at now?" They're like, "Oh, they're gone." Man, I'd love to have that stack. But anyway, yeah, I didn't until later on in life. That's funny.
Wow, that's a touching story. For me and my dad, yeah, we share similar as well. Like he's definitely a Superman fan as well. Like I don't think he has a stack of comic books, but yeah, he'll watch a lot of the shows for me with Batman, Superman, a lot of the comic book stuff. Still, like, how you think it's gonna be with this new DCU under Jason Gunn?
Oh man, I don't know. I looked at the lineup. I was really loving the fact that Superman was getting older. I can kind of relate to that because, of course, I'm getting older. And they're going to make Superman young again. They're always trying to revamp Superman so he looks, I guess, where the younger people can relate to him more. And I can dig it. But I was really looking forward to an older Superman. And then someone had mentioned they wanted to do like a Kingdom Come movie, which I would love that to happen. I mean, I'm available. Call my agent. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. As far as where they're going, I don't know. I like James Gunn's work. The Guardians of the Galaxy are some of my favorite films. He does really good stuff there. But it's where they're going in this new direction. Time will tell. I mean, I'll watch it. I'll watch it. I'm not going to down it before it even comes out. A lot of folks do that. Oh, it's going to suck. I'm like, give it a chance. Give it a chance. I watched that old Fantastic Four movie, and it was the worst, in my opinion. Not the one with Jessica Alba, but the other one.
The Silver Surfer one?
No, after that.
Oh, Fantastic.
Yeah, that was the worst one in my opinion, and I like it. It didn't come off right. It had a horrible feel to it. Doctor Doom was horribly represented. I just wasn't a fan. But like I said, I gave it a shot. I watched it. I was like, well, let's see what it's like. So I don't think James Gunn will go down that rabbit hole. I think James Gunn will do a better job. If he's a true comic fan, I think he'll stick to the whole nature of what the heroes are, and he'll go back to the original settings of what Superman is here to be. I don't know. Are they going to do Superman with the Robert Pattinson Batman? Is that the same? I don't know if they're doing that or not.
Unfortunately, no. James Gunn declared that for like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker and Pattinson's Batman, they're considered DC's Elseworlds.
Elseworlds. Okay, you're right. Yeah, so it'll be new. It'll be something fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I hope it'll be more of a brighter Superman movie. When I say brighter, it's more uplifting. Like when you watched, I don't know if you ever watched, I guess you watched the original Christopher Reeve one. It was the very beginning scenes where he was in Smallville. It was bright, it was sunny, it was sort of uplifting. Of course, his dad passed. But where you saw Kansas, it was blue skies, wheat fields. It was like, this is where Superman came from. He grew up as Clark Kent. This is where he got his morals from that great farm family out in Kansas. I like that feel. And anytime they show that in the movies or the TV shows where he's on the farm, I always like that. It just feels humble. You know, Superman tries to be a humble character. We see where he gets it from. It's more of a nature over nurture, where nurture looks like it pretty much came into play there. Because if he didn't have the Kent family raising him, he might have gone a different direction.
Yeah, that's what I like with stories like with Smallville, where you see like him growing up in his hometown with his parents, and even like with stuff like Superman and Lois, and even the recent anime movie Battle of the Super Sons. It was nice that they're raising Jonathan Kent at the farm.
I love that Super Sons, where John was in Smallville and Clark was raising a son. I was really a big fan of that they were showing, you know, the fatherly side of Superman, because I have 4 kids and I was raising them, of course not on a farm, but it showed Superman being humble, and they even showed him, you got to do your chores, you got to work for what you get, and he was basically teaching him to be a good kid all around. And even when Jonathan went to the Batcave and met Batman and Damian, they brought the cow out. I'm like, oh, brought the Bat cow, and I was like, milk that cow, and he milked the cow. I was like,
yeah, that's surprising. I never thought Damien would have a thing for like animals like that, for a bat cow.
And then of course, in the back of my mind, like, who's cleaning up after that cow? That cow's gonna leave a lot of mess. So that's just me out that I've worked on a farm here and there, but yeah, if you got a cow in a bat cave, there's gonna be a mess. But anyway, I really enjoyed that show. I liked how they portrayed Superman as just being a fatherly figure. I really, really dug that. And I was hoping they'd stay with that to where they'd watch him grow throughout the years, but then they grew him up fast. And I was like, oh, I kind of wish they'd keep him young. You know, I kind of wanted to see that more. But yeah, I dig those. I liked it. Like I said, I like the new Superman and Lois show. As a matter of fact, I got to meet the 2 young actors in Dallas, and they were really nice. I think they got rid of one of them, unfortunately. But
yeah, I think it was Jonathan. Yeah,
they replaced him, which I was like, oh goodness. But it's Hollywood. What do you do? You know, I don't make the call. But I like that show. It was different. I kind of liked how they showed. I didn't, like I said, they had twins, so that was new.
Mm-hmm.
I liked how they had the one son taking the K to amp his powers up. I dug that. Like I said, everything's, when they do these shows, when they come up with new aspects to make the character more interesting, it's for a reason. You know, they're just trying to make themselves, I guess, more profitable, if you went with more characters, but more relatable. So, but and I like seeing the family side of the super family. I always dug that. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, because like they took like some aspects of what they did for Black Lightning in CW, but then applied it to Superman, which I say that definitely works. And I wasn't sure about for the twins
Yes.
either because it's just Jonathan, but given how they're named, it works. Like Jordan, Jor-El. So yeah.
Yep.
Plus, when you see Jonathan's counterpart, it's like he's kind of like the original Connor Kent Superboy in terms of like with the costume and original personality, where he was trying to be a hotshot.
Right. Right. I like Connor. I like one that Connell, if they call him. I like that Superboy. I also do like the fact that he was one of the characters in the reign of Superman. I like that one.
That's another thing. Like, I mean, do you think Henry Cavill could still like maybe be involved in Superman some way? Like, maybe it doesn't have to be part of the mainstream DCU franchise. Maybe like an Elseworld story.
God, I hope so. I mean, honestly, if they ever do a Kingdom Come show, like I said, they can hire me. But they can definitely get him. He's the $1 million man who's proved his salt. He could do that, and I hope they bring him back. I don't know if Henry will do it, but I liked Henry. I never met the man, but just in his interviews and seeing him on the shows, I think he's good people. It'd be a waste of that reputation, not bringing him back. Like I said, they brought Gene Kane back for shows. Why can't they bring Henry back?
So I guess with this next question, besides Christopher Reeve, what was your favorite Superman?
Christopher Reeve, all time. I'm telling you that's a core memory. Seeing that guy up there on that big old screen. I like Christopher Reeve. I do like Dean Cain too. He is super, super, super nice. We met him in Metropolis one year. I'm just a big fan of him altogether. And I remember I would come home from work and watch that TV show, and that would be my chill moment. It's like I made specific time to watch his show. And Terry Hatcher was pretty, and he was a great Superman. I liked how it was filmed. I liked how they perceived him. He was a true Superman fan, in my opinion. So anytime they get someone who actually respects the genre, like Henry Cavill does too, he loves Superman. He loved being Superman. I mean, don't get me wrong, if they hired me to be Superman, you couldn't get me out of that costume. I'm Superman. But they embody that character. So I was really impressed with the way Dean Cain did it, and I liked it. So
yeah, but it's funny how he always has his arms crossed whenever he shows up as Superman.
That's a thing, man. That's a thing. Yeah, arms crossed. I like how the fact they showed him eating junk food and eating it fat too. So you're eating ding dongs? All right, what's you gonna do that? So, but Chris Reeve, yeah, those two are some of my favorites. And like I said, Henry Cavill recently, I love him to death. He was a true fan. He knew Superman. He loved being Superman. Which I can't blame the man. He took the time out to get himself physically fit shape to be the part. I mean, don't get me wrong. Anytime they hire someone to be Superman, if you don't embody the character, why do it? That's a mainstay. Yeah, that's America. Superman's. Yeah. That's how I feel about it. Some people argue with you. Oh, well, Superman's universal. Well, he is. He's from Krypton. He's from all over. He's worldly. But let's just be honest. Truth, justice, American way is the way I was raised, and that's the way I'll remember it for all time. That's just the way I
guess. Yeah, I guess you're more with that saying than the new one they got with like truth, justice, and something tomorrow. I think or something. I forgot. They changed it.
Tomorrow or something like that, which is fine. I get it. They want it to be more worldly. I get it. Like I said, when they had the cartoon, the Ruby Spears cartoon, they really embodied that whole saying. And then way back in the day with George Reeves, he was all about true justice, American way. And that's also another show I watched back in the day where it was black and white. I like that too. But I mean, I get it. It's a slogan. I just like being patriotic. I like the patriotic way. I mean, come on, I'm born and bred. I bleed red, white, and blue. So,
gotcha. Yeah, have you ever auditioned for Superman in a role? Like, like in a legit kind of production?
I didn't do. I tried to do the Superman Metropolis. I sent my pictures in to be that guy. Josh got that one. Josh, well, he got that one, which is fine. He does a great job. I never did anything as far as Superman production. Mind you, I did one when I was a kid, but that was like a little play where I was Superman. They picked me to be Superman in a play. What I thought that was cute. It was at the Red River Rebel, and there's like, hey, we need a kid to play Superman, and I'm wearing Underoos shirt. You know, back in the day, they're like, you'll do.
Well, I would say that's probably about it for today's podcast. I want to say thank you again, Michael, for being a part of this.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun. It's been a blast. It was a great time. Great way to spend a Saturday talking Superman and superheroes. I love it. I can talk all day about that stuff. So yeah.
Definitely. It's great that a character like Superman has, still makes an impact after 85 years, and let's hope it can still continue for another 85.
I think he'll be here way after we're gone. Superman is universal now, so he's going to be here for a long, long time after we're gone.
Yep. And thanks to all you viewers for tuning in, and happy Superman Day.
Y'all stay super now.
Thanks for tuning in on Superman Day, everybody. The full version of this podcast should be uploaded by the end of the month. If you want to see more of Michael Byrnes cosplays, be sure to click the link below and follow him on Instagram. As always, like and subscribe for more content. This is BD Knight, signing out.